AITA for pulling out of a girls' trip late notice to be with my stepkids. I married my husband 11 years ago. I have 2 stepkids, 16 Fahrenheit and 13 NB. I am incredibly close to both of them, and there aren't enough characters allowed in these posts for me to accurately state how much I love them. My stepkid's mom died tragically and unexpectedly 2 weeks ago due to circumstances that I'm not entirely sure I'm allowed to include in this post. She had her issues, no doubt, but for all her faults she loved her kids and did her best with them. Both my stepkids are obviously struggling to cope with the shock of this, and my husband and I are doing all we can to help them process everything. Next weekend would have been their mom's birthday. This is obviously going to be an emotional weekend. The first events without a loved one are always hard, and this one is so close to her death, which just makes it even harder. I had originally planned a girls' trip with some old friends from college for that weekend. Obviously, when we were making the arrangements, there was no reason to believe this would have been an issue. The kids would have been with their mom, my husband would have had the house to himself, and I would have had a fun trip with some people I haven't seen in a while. However, a little over a week ago, I made the decision that I needed to back out of the trip to be with the kids. They never asked me to do this, but they both said they were happy I was going to be around for the birthday weekend. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. This was not a super extravagant trip. It's literally just 2 nights in our old college town together. No one needs to fly or take off work. I offered to still pay for my portion of the Airbnb, which is under my name, and said I would have to transfer some other reservations made under my name to someone else. The group chat got quiet for a while, and then people started railing into me. Apparently some of the activities we were planning have required amounts of people, and with me gone, they'll have to cancel them and scramble to figure out something else to do. I also have worked at most restaurants in our college town during my time there and still have connections that tends to get us discounts, free drinks, etc. And now without me that might not be possible. The consensus seems to be that I'm desperate to take over the mom role, and am screwing over the whole group to play mom with 2 kids that will never be mine. I told them that I wasn't budging and we could either reschedule or they could do it without me. They refused to reschedule, so I said if no one takes over the Airbnb reservation, I was just canceling it. 2 people in the group chat blocked me and most other people fell silent. One person called and said I'm an off for going nuclear just because people didn't want to accommodate me. I know this is a complicated situation, and I feel bad that things couldn't work out like we planned, but my stepkids are more important to me than a trip. I wanted to make this edit to clarify some things and provide some clarifications to things people have asked. I have cancelled the Airbnb. That's just done. A lot of people have asked why I am friends with this group and told me I need to make better friends. This is an old group from college that I go on this trip with every 5 years or so. I do not consider these people to be my main friend group at all. I have a current, better friend group. The reason I still have a lot of connections at some of these restaurants is that I didn't just get to know employees. I got to know the owners who I am still connected with. At some of these restaurants and bars, I held higher up positions than just a server or bartender. I was running promotions and event planning for these places. I misspoke when I said it was a complicated situation. As you could imagine, I've been a bit worn out these past few weeks. By complicated situation, I more so meant that it is a heavy situation given the gravity of kids losing a parent, or the type of situation I often hear is above Reddit's pay grade. Story 2. AITA for telling my father that it's gross that he's trying to have a baby at 45. My parents divorced when I was 10. My upbringing was rather uneventful as an only child. My mother remarried and 2 more kids, and my dad focused on his career. My dad retired last year. He talked about wanting to have a new family and I thought he meant getting remarried. No, he means having another kid. He actually found a surrogate and used a male donor half his age. The surrogate is pregnant with twin boys and is due next month. I asked my dad if he realizes that he's almost 50, about to have 2 kids who aren't even related to him and he's doing it on his own. He said yes, and that was fine because he's retired and is going to devote his time to raising his twins. I told him the whole thing was just gross. It seems excessive. Why not get a dog? Edit. What if my dad has a heart attack and dies? Who is going to take care of them? And this affects me. Edit. My dad paid the surrogate $50K. Edit. Yes, my dad should think of me in money. I'm still a kid myself. Story 3. AITA for offering my son to change his name if he wants to. I lost my wife to COVID 2 years ago. I worked in Japan when I met her 8 years ago and stayed there. She was a single mom to a boy and I adopted him after we got married. I am now his only parent. We moved to the US for my job a year ago. He loves it here. He has some friends. His English is perfect and we still go to Japan for holidays 2 times a year. He has a Japanese name that sounds a lot like an English curse word, so he has been getting bullied in school a lot. He is starting a different school in the fall, and he is scared the bullying will just continue there. I told him I love his name, and his mother chose it because it has a lot of meaning in Japanese. But nevertheless, if he wants to change his name and go by the new name, we can do that. He was happy that he has this option. He said he will think about it. His maternal grandparents are absolutely outraged, called me in awe, and said I am Americanizing my son. AITA. Story 4. AITA for wanting to take my daughter fishing. For over a decade, myself and my 4 best friends have had an annual fishing trip. There has always been a no wives, no girlfriends rule since the beginning, and no one has ever violated it. 2 years ago, my friend Tim told the group he wanted to bring his 5-year-old son to sort of pass the tradition on to the next generation. At that point, only Tim and I had kids, but my daughter was 3 and too young for fishing. We all supported Tim's idea and made a big deal over the little guy. He had a great time and came last year as well. My other friend, Randy, has a 4-month-old son now. When the baby was born, Tim gave Randy a children's fishing pole to give to his son on his 5th birthday. So it seemed clear to me that the tradition had evolved to us plus our kids, which I'm cool with. I mentioned to my friends the other day that my daughter was excited for this year's fishing trip, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Tim said I shouldn't bring her, and I was baffled. I was super supportive of him bringing his son. This is no different. My daughter is now the age Tim's son was when he first came on the trip. Another friend brought up the no wives, no girlfriends rule, which pissed me off. My 5-year-old daughter isn't anyone's wife or girlfriend. I said if they don't want my daughter there, then I don't want Tim's son there. Tim was offended and stormed out. Randy said what I said was uncalled for. I said I'm bringing my daughter, and that's that. I just want to make sure I'm not being an entitled prick. AITA.